All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Yeah, I'm here. We're streaming. It is 6:08, so I guess you could ask baseball questions. There's a half hour of that left. I'll be on for probably about a half hour, so right up until baseball lock at 6:40 p.m. I'll talk about baseball. We can get that sheet up real quick. Delete some of these things that I don't need anymore up here. Gmail gone. Okay, cool. So yeah, we have baseball. This is just the pitcher sheet, pretty much. Looked into stacks a little bit more as it is later in the day. Built the one main lineup that I'll be using, and pretty much outside of that, and we have a question: how do you get the right lineup? Says 123 Mookie in the comment section. You guess. So yeah, I'll answer any questions. So if people just want to hop in, ask whatever they have, whether it is baseball or basketball. I am open to answer either of the sports. I have a lineup made, a bunch of different contests, just playing one lineup into a few contests for both the showdown, for the showdown I have one contest, the main one, with one lineup in there. Thought something could work out pretty nicely in terms of what I'm seeing for just interest-wise and disinterest-wise, and some of the guys that I have interest in that are not getting as much interest. So although there are no real leverage spots for the most part in showdown, when there are guys who are just being completely blown out of the water because of their recent performance or just recent minutes, and I think there's something different there, I will target it. But for NBA, or that's NBA, for MLB, also playing tonight as well, one lineup across a bunch of different contests, GPP only, don't really play cash MLB personally, although there are some slates like the earlier slate today that kind of said and kind of shaped up to where you could, although Zach Wheeler kind of exploded, so maybe not. Jamie says, what is Sal? Well, what's up, Sal, I imagine. Love the videos and content. Thanks, Jamie. Appreciate it. Yeah, any questions? I don't know what sport people are playing today, whether it's NBA or MLB, but I will stay on for 20 minutes, 30 minutes or so, whatever it might be, until people's questions are answered. In terms of the NBA, I think it's going to be interesting because I think the same format that kind of won showdown slates for a few people, whether it's first place finishes, second place finishes, I think the same format remains there with the pricing, the way the pricing is. I still love Steph. I talked about it in the video earlier. I still think that Clay is a phenomenal play. Good luck on Mlb Dfs, fam. Thanks, he made it. Yeah, I'm also covering MLB right now, just in terms of before lock. There's 30 minutes till that locks. Really, any questions that anybody has. Yeah, you meant what's up, no problem. So, but thank you. I'm just playing one lineup in the $20. Have not played a showdown slate in probably 2 weeks now. So I think it shapes up, at least for the NBA, to be very similar to what we saw 2 nights ago, whereas Steph, Draymond, and Clay are still fantastic options. And yes, Clay remains, even at a little bit of a bumped up price, a fantastic option because he's going to shoot 20 plus times. Even if Clay draws stone cold and he's shooting 30%, he's making 6 of his shots. And that's not great, of course, but it doesn't mean that he's absolutely killing your lineup at that price point of what it is in the showdown slate. So it's hard for me to get away from that. Obviously, Steph just with no KD and Boogie is an even bigger bump. And then Draymond's going to be there. He's going to have triple-double upside now with those guys out of the lineup as well. At their price points, they're all really attractive in a showdown slate. And I just don't find myself wanting Damian Lillard or CJ McCollum. Again, the thing that I will point out about Damian Lillard is, yeah, the matchup is still tough. He only shot 12 times last game. I expect that number to go up. He didn't play, or really nobody played, the final 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes of that blowout. So you're going to see a little bit of bump in minutes, of course. You're going to see probably even more of an emphasis on minutes and shot attempts now that they're down 1-0. Getting down 2-0 on the road, although expected, it's not ideal, right? So I imagine for them to go all out, McCollum, Lillard playing close to, if not 40 minutes tonight. Hey, Sal, you rock, man. What do you think of a lineup with Steph out, says Josh Thiem. I think it's hard to imagine me not putting Steph in a lineup, which I think it's going to be hard for a lot of people. So if you think that you have a certain type of leverage there and you actually feel good about it and you're not just doing it because you want to force a contrarian approach, then go with it. If you think there's an actual reason not to play Steph Curry in your lineups tonight, I personally don't. But again, I haven't done in-depth research on this showdown slate. Maybe you have. But if you're just trying to be contrarian for contrarian's sake, that doesn't mean you're being optimal. There are times to fade the highly owned guys. If you did it last game with Lillard or McCollum or both of them, you won $100,000. Shout out to the only person who did that. So yeah, oh snap, I'll hang in there here then. Yeah, just ask a question if you want. I mean, I'm probably just going to cover it from whichever angles. I think as the day went on, nothing changed in my opinion for this 5-game slate in terms of Luis Castillo being by far and away the best option on this slate. Pricing, maybe not by far and away, but a top 2 option, and then nobody else is even close. I think that Marcus Stroman earlier on, I did like him earlier on in the video. He was probably a top 2 or 3 play. He's still there for me, but he slides into the number 3 spots. Trevor Williams now becomes a clear tier above for me. A little bit more of a pitcher's park compared to some of the other pitchers on the slate. And he's going to get a lineup today where there's just so much strikeout upside. The only lefties that are really going to give him any sort of threat is a guy coming from the single A who or for the triple A who just struck out a bunch, Eric Hosmer, and one other bat. There's 3 total lefties, and I mean, if you're counting a guy coming right from the single A who strikes out a third of his at-bats, it's not that tough. Trevor Williams, yeah, he doesn't have the wildest stuff, I would say. I mean, it's nothing that's going to be this insane strikeout upside stuff, and we're not expecting that here. We're expecting to get some innings out of him, and we're expecting at $8,300 to be one of the more consistent players on the slate, going up against a team that has pretty much a realistic highest percentage upside. So I like Luis Castillo, Trevor Williams, and Marcus Stroman in that order. After that, you're just kind of hoping that something happens. I would say that if you put a gun to my head and say pick somebody below the Marcus Stroman range out of those last 5 pitchers, it'd probably be Eric Lauer at $6,800. It's not great. It's not attractive. I don't want any Dylan Covey by any chance. I don't want any Eric Swanson or Michael Pineda. I think Pineda is grossly overpriced. He should be in the 6K range, in my opinion. It would have to be Eric Lauer, and that's not any kind of confidence in that you're telling me to pick somebody on the cheaper tier if you want to throw that punt. I rarely throw punts in MLB DFS when it comes to pitchers because we know the upside that pitchers can bring. Maybe not on this specific slate, but in general, your pitchers being able to go out there and get you a 30 burger compared relative to the slate if they're able to do that, or even just 22 to 25 on a slate like this. Realistically, there's probably 2 to 3 guys that do that tonight. Luis Castillo, Trevor Williams, and Marcus Stroman will be the guys that I picked to do that. But a guy like Eric Lauer, if he goes out at 6,800 and gets you 15, which would be a good start for him, a guy who doesn't have insane strikeout stuff, by any means, or really not a lot that you'd like to see there, but it's $6,800. That would be my punt-type pitcher play, but I'm not dipping down there. It's going to be hard-pressed for me to get below Stroman if I even get to Stroman. Apparently, from what I've been hearing and seeing, whether it's Discord, whether it's just ownership projections that I've been looking at, apparently Stroman is going up there as a top 2 owned pitcher. If that's the case, I easily pivot to Trevor Williams. I think the salary is there to do so. I'm talking like 10% of lineups maybe in terms of not having Steph. Yeah, I think that's fine. I think that's fine. If you're entering 10 lineups and you don't have Steph in one of them, that's fine. If you're entering 100 and you don't have him in 10 of them, that starts to become a little bit more dead for me. I think you're giving up a lot of lineups there, even just 10. What do you think about stacking Pittsburgh backs with Laura as a way to be different in GPP? I know Pittsburgh is bad versus lefties, but I think Laura is going too chalky. Versus Laura. Okay, I thought you said with Laura. Yeah, if you want to get leverage off of him, I don't. Is he going to be chalky? I haven't seen any of those projections yet. I imagine that people are going to try and force punts in. I don't think you get as many as you should. Luis Castillo plus Trevor Williams combinations. You shouldn't, and if anybody's going to ask a question, you should not be stacking or playing Luis Castillo and Jose Quintana together. And really just because I don't want to play Jose in general, but they're playing each other. You're losing the upside there. You're rooting for the game to stay close, which in that case means that neither of them are getting the loss, which means neither of them are getting the win if you think about it that way. So yeah, maybe Laura is going to be the guy that people go to. I haven't really seen his name anywhere, but then again, I don't watch any other content, so that's probably why, outside of a few articles that I trust and just looking at some ownership projections and projections tools outside of my own to baseline. So stacking Pittsburgh against him, I'm not going to get there. In terms of interest in stacks, it's Toronto, clearly. That's the highest owned or highest run total stack. I trust Vegas, but not even that I trust Vegas. I want to attack Dylan Covey. I think you all should be wanting to do that. So yeah, Toronto is a place that I will go to as a stack option for sure. And then I'm just getting to a couple of other smaller stacks. I still like Seattle against Michael Pineda. I think that stack might go under-owned. I have interest there, not a dire interest, but I do have interest there. I do have interest in Cincinnati in terms of leverage against Quintana, if anybody's going to be playing him. But also, if you stack Cincinnati with Castillo, there's some good correlation there. I have interest in Cincinnati. Toronto is my favorite stack right now. And then probably the Braves, and that just goes right in order of what you're seeing from the run totals. If I had to pick a fifth stack, it would be St. Louis. Those are more of a top 5 stacks if I had to go there. It would be listing them just off the top of my head, trying to take into account everything. Toronto, Jason Kipnis hits a home run. Not that it matters, but he did. First of the year. I guess it matters for him. So for me, it would be probably my favorite stacks: Toronto, Seattle, and let me think about this: um, Toronto, Seattle, Atlanta, Cincy, and St. Louis. Those would probably be the pieces that I get to. Those are the pieces that I have gotten to. Again, I'm just building one lineup and putting that into multiple contests. So in that stack, I did use Toronto and then a 5-man stack, and then I usually get to a 5-2-1, a 5-1-1. If I can get to a 5-3, I do, but I rarely do. I did not today. Twin stack with some Blue Jays. I think it's fine. I'm not interested in the Twins today personally, but I think it's fine. You're getting a decent matchup. You're getting a terrible ballpark in terms of just trying to hit out power here, but you're getting a pitcher who will give it up. So I think it's fine. I'm just not getting there for multiple reasons: pricing, positionality, and just not liking specific breakdowns of ISO matchups, things like that in that lineup today. Only thing I don't like about Toronto stack is Covey may only pitch 2 innings. I think that's fine. I'm not worried about that. Well, obviously, I like Covey to be out there for 4 or 5 innings, but if he's going to get lit up, he's going to be out there for 2 more innings and be 4 innings. Of course, obviously, it's a better matchup just in general, but getting into any bullpen in the MLB that quickly is always an upside. These are not guys who are, even if you have a long reliever coming in, for the most part, it's not a concern for me. Is there reports, though, Cam, that he is only going to pitch 2 innings, or may only, or is that just guessing? Either way, I think Toronto is still fine. Votto has pretty good history against Quintana. Okay or better choices at first. I like other guys at first, namely the Toronto guys, Justin Smoke. Rowdy Tellez is not in the starting lineup, so Justin Smoke for me there. I always like getting to Paul Goldschmidt. Paul Goldschmidt is always underpriced. It's one of the stacks that I do like. Freddie Freeman is clearly fine on Atlanta, a team that I have an interest in stack upside. If you're talking about one-offs, then yeah, you can get to Joey Votto. I like Yasiel Puig a little bit more on the exact same team. But if you want to talk about Joey Votto, then you can go there. I don't have an actual opinion on that. The only opinion I would say is that I really don't care too much about batter versus pitcher. I know that there's big debates about that stuff. I personally don't care and the reason I don't care is because pitchers evolve, batters evolve. More so the pitchers, right? So Jose Quintana, if this dates back 3-4 years ago, his stuff is not the same as 4 years ago. Most pitchers are adjusting now, especially with technology and ways to just advance, whether it's velocity or movement on pitches and just stay in the league more and stay elite. They're changing it every single year. So in terms of their history against the guy, I would say that a lot of it is, one, dated. It's good against in the past, and you're always going to have guys being better against specific guys, whether it holds any weight or not. I don't think that is predicting future success, especially when they're moving forward more. I think it's a stat that people like to look at, batter versus pitcher, but I don't put much weight into it at all, unless it's like this year. If it's a this year thing, you're in the same division. Dylan Bundy's facing some some Yankees bats, and Judge is just demolishing him. Then I put more weight into it. But if we're talking a 5-year history or even a 3-year history, I don't really care too much about batter versus pitcher. And I know that's a big debate, but that's just my take on it. When we talk MLB DFS, the only thing I'm really looking at on a high level outside of finding my pitchers is finding my stacks. Inside of those stacks, I will look at left-handed and right-handed, so your handedness when you're hitting against how that pitcher performs, both strikeout-wise, the ISO, the isolated power they're giving up, and some other things that they're giving up. To the specific handedness that year. I won't look even more specifically at the name itself. It's all a number to me. For the most part, these guys are just a bunch of numbers. They're not names to me. Sal, do you feel Amino is a good play tonight? Michael Dixon, he is probably the only reason I am playing DFS Showdown tonight. I don't have a ton of conviction around Al-Farouq Amino. He's played 17 minutes, 7 and 18. Again, if you watched the video earlier, I think that 18 minutes was less than it should have been. Again, he didn't play the final 18 minutes of the game, and he saw 18 minutes. So I think that Al-Farouq Amino should have seen, whether it was the blowout, whether it was him picking up 2 quick fouls in a short burst, he should have seen 22 minutes. At least another 4 would be another rotation out of those last 18, if not 6. I have him in at 24 minutes today. That might be a bullish projection. You could say 22. I would be shocked if he doesn't see 20-plus minutes today. But people are going to see those last 3 game logs, and the prices come down a lot, and they're going to avoid him, which on a showdown slate, if people are going to avoid his starter, I'm fine going right back to that starter. Yes, sure, he is. People are telling me he's a liability out there. I understand that. I understand that he's not the greatest type of player to be on the court for this matchup, especially when you have Draymond moving back to the four, at least for partial parts of the game, starting there. But if you're telling me I'm going to get some sort of leverage at a cheap price on a guy like Aminu who can go out there today and play 28 minutes, and I mean, his ceiling is not high, but on a showdown slate at that price point, I need 22, 24 fantasy points out of you to have a realistic shot at playing well. Draymond captain, Portland guards play physical with Steph and Clay. Hood more minutes, more offense, says Vince. I think Hood's minutes have been the same. Is there something I'm missing about Hood's minutes? He played 26. He's been averaging 25 throughout pretty much the postseason. So I don't know if there's more minutes for Hood there. He's not taking them away from Aminu. That would be Harkless in the last game, and Collins in the games before that. So I don't know where the Hood more minutes is coming from. He does play, or he is more of an offensive upside in terms of shooting, if that's what you mean by that. But we haven't seen this big increase yet. They might be coming. Draymond captain, I think that's fine. Again, I like Steph in the captain. I'm not being crazy there. I like Clay in the captain. I'm not being crazy there. I think you could go Draymond captain as well. I don't really have any hard stance on that. Last question, Sal, is leaving $2,500 left on the table too risky for a GPP? For the NBA slate, I imagine you're talking about leaving $2,500. That gets to a point where I'm like, this might be too much. But again, if you feel comfortable with your lineup, go ahead and pull it in. Hit submit if you feel comfortable with it. $2,500, I would say, is a lot. I would say anything like over $1,500, you're probably automatically giving yourself a unique lineup. $2,500, you might be missing out. But again, it's a showdown slate. So if you're telling me that you're leaving $2,500 on the table and you're playing Al-Farouq Aminu instead of playing, Zach Collins or whoever it might be tonight who's more expensive, and that's why you have so much money left over, then I'm fine with it. Like if it's a decision like that. But if you're going all the way down and playing some dust or whoever it might be, then yeah, it might not be the greatest idea. All right, what time we got? 6:25. Feel free to ask any questions. 17 minutes in, 15 of you in here. How's it going? I imagine that something is the quality of these videos bad? Like when I live stream? I imagine they are because I'm using this apartment's Wi-Fi and not my university's, which it's just easier to set up in here, but I might move back on campus if this quality is bad. Some more things. Hopefully, as of next Tuesday, I will have an update on some exciting stuff coming in the future. Hopefully, but not guaranteed. It depends on how a phone call goes, but we will see. Yeah, 15 minutes to lock for MLB. Obviously, NBA is going to lock a little bit later, so I'm doing this somewhat early. People might be eating dinner. Cantor or Iggy? Yeah, that's a good question. I'd lean Cantor there. I think Iggy plays more minutes. I think Cantor being at the 5 is just better overall. In super value range, any worth taking a look at Cook or Bell or Jerebko to fit Steph at captain with a good supporting cast? I would take a look at Cook, but I'm not dying to get to any of these guys. We can go over to here. So I have all these guys blocked out from the video from earlier, but we can put them back on, the guys who are below a certain range that I'm just really not even targeting. But if you told me to choose one of these guys, and just get this highlighted back a little bit. These are the minutes. All right, so you're asking, and who asked that? Aaron Oliver. All right, so you're asking me, trying to get these super value range. Look, there's no guys in the super value range that I really want. I don't want Jordan Bell. I don't want Andrew Bogut. I don't want McKinney. I don't want Jerebko. These guys have a minutes cap. Look, even if you're playing 12 minutes, for the most part, unless things get extremely wacky, a 12-minute guy getting you 10 to 12 fantasy points is probably not enough. If there was a guy that I would go to, it would probably be Quinn Cook because he's in that range below 2,000. Jerebko, even though he's only $400 more, I feel like I'm getting a worse player in terms of fantasy in Jerebko outside of when price is counted in than Quinn Cook. Alfonso McKinsey, I don't want any of that at 1,600. I don't want any Andrew Bogut, who might not even play 5 minutes tonight outside of just starting. And then Jordan Bell, yeah. So I would say Quinn Cook, but I don't want any of them. Personally, I don't want any of them. I am not touching below the Looney range in terms of price. So anything below $4,000, I am not even touching. I understand people want to play Evan Turner in his 16 minutes a game that are 0.6 fantasy points per minute production-wise in the playoffs. Livingston would be another guy that at $3,000 you can consider, but I think you're looking for ultra cheap range, 2,000 or below, and I just don't think it's there. I don't think it's worth forcing. These guys, if they are lucky tonight, will be playing 12 minutes, and that's not good. And these guys are not 1.5 fantasy point per minute guys, 1.2 even. They're not even 1 fantasy point per minute guys, outside of Bogut, barely. And he'll see the least minutes. So when you get a guy like Cook, who realistically, if he plays 10 minutes, will score 8 fantasy points, 7 fantasy points on like a good night, yeah, I don't want that. I don't think it's viable with these teams. I think the way that you get contrarian is, even not in the captain spot, I think the way you get contrarian is, again, leaving money on the table, whatever that might mean. If that means missing out on the range of CJ, Cantor, Iguodala, Harkless, Hood, whatever it might mean, if that's what that takes, and you're getting in a Steph, a Lillard, a Draymond, a Clay, then that's fine. Just leave money on the table. Mike Batista, what's going on? I like the NBA MLB mix-up talk. Yeah, I was just kind of bored, so I was like, let's hop on a quick stream. Might go play some basketball later. It's been nice here. It's supposed to rain tomorrow. Might go on a walk. Yeah. But I'm going to do this up until MLB lock, so you can continue to ask questions. This is for MLB. I know the picture is guided. I think it's Draymond, right, on the cover of this one. But it's for either. I also know that I think Awesemo is live for MLB till 6:40, so I imagine that like anybody who watches me is probably watching that, and rightfully so. I mean, they built a great platform over there. Those guys over there at Awesemo are great. Should definitely give them just thumbs up and stuff when you're watching their videos, whatever it might be. But yeah, the 20 of you in here, thank you for being here. Appreciate that. What else to talk about? Yeah, I kind of talked about these slates pretty, and it's interesting because MLB right now, especially with with NBA playoffs finishing up and golf PGA Championship this weekend, I feel like MLB is not as desired. And in general, I don't think it is. I think it lags behind a lot of sports, and for good reason. It shouldn't be that. It shouldn't be that hyped up of an MLB sport because it kind of stinks. Not the actual format, but the contest structures. And I've talked about this beating a horse, so I won't really go in depth anymore. But yeah, a lot of people just aren't interested. So it's nice to see that some people here are. It's pretty straightforward. Like I said, the pitchers I have the most interest in: Castillo, Trevor Williams, Marcus Stroman. If you really want to throw a punt, Eric Lohr, but I'm not getting down anywhere near there. Stacks I have the most interested in probably a ranking order: Toronto, Seattle, Atlanta, Cincinnati, and St. Louis. Who are your favorites for PGA? Josh Thim. PGA started, my man. Who are my favorites? I mean, like, are we talking DFS here, or are we talking just real life? I love Xander in real life. I like Xander Schauffele in real life. I think he's so underrated. He's a top 10 golfer in the world right now, PGA rank, and nobody even knows who the hell he is. Like, if you haven't watched golf ever, or you haven't watched it in the past year, you have no idea who Xander Schauffele is, most likely. And he's incredible. Maybe not incredible, but he's fantastic. He's incredible relative to every golfer in the world, right? Top 10 in the world. I like Xander. I obviously like Tiger. It's really hard for me not to like Tiger. Or really a lot of people that not to like Tiger if you're just trying to look at golf specifically. Always root for Phil. He's just another guy hard not to like. But it's for me, Xander. I like Patrick Cantley. Just some of the younger crowd coming up who I think are going to have really good careers. I like Ricky a lot. Hard not to like a guy like Ricky. Yeah, for the weekend, I mean. I like the weekend tourneys. Oh, for like the 2-game weekend, I don't know. It depends on tomorrow. Right now, the cut line's at like +3, and we're supposed to get wins tomorrow, so the cut line can move to +4 even. So anybody who's not in it right now, it can easily be in it. I mean, you're looking at Brooks running away with this field after day one. Granted, it's day one, but this is a hard field. The fact that he went 7 under day one of this course, that's tough. I thought the winning score was going to be 6 under. So, yeah, he is walking away with this thing. I think that Brooks can go even par 2 of these days and still win the thing by multiple strokes. Like, he can go even par tomorrow. He can pick up 2 strokes or 3 strokes on Saturday and go even par the last day and win at 10 under, and I think that's realistic. So, yeah, I mean, to win the whole thing, Brooks right now, it would be, if you're telling me to bet my money somewhere and you're giving me just even odds, just pick somebody for DFS, yeah, Brooks is obviously, and I don't think that's surprising anybody, but dark horses, I do like DJ. I know that the golfers are still going, right, till 7 or so. I do like DJ. I think he'll be a little bit under-owned and underappreciated. A lot of those higher-tier guys will be after what Brooks did today. If we're talking mid-tier, I think that Cantley's still a fine option. Obviously, has to pick up tons of strokes here. I think Ricky's still a fine option. Ricky played really well today after his first few holes. I mean, what did the guy have? Five birdies today? He just bogeyed or double bogeyed early on, whatever it might have been. So yeah, that would be some of the ranges that I do like. I mean, I know some just random guys were up there. I know Matt Wallace has been playing well. We talked about him in the video being a cheaper end option. Luke List was playing well early on. Shout out Pat Mayo. So yeah. What do we got here? So I have Curry as my captain on FanDuel, followed by Clay. Think the Splash Brothers can give us the same production as Game 1, Sal? Michael Dixon. Yeah, I think they can. Look, I know that there's a lot of reasoning to think that they won't, but here's the thing. They're home still once again. There's no KD, there's no Boogie. Like, don't overthink this. It might not work out tonight because rarely do things work out the exact same way they did this previous game, and there's no reason that Damian Lillard should only take 12 shots again. If Damian Lillard takes 24 shots again, or tonight, like he should, then this is a totally different format. If you're telling me that I'm going to get 24 plus shots out of Damian Lillard, then I have a lot of interest in Damian Lillard as a captain. You're going to see Steph ownership as a captain extremely, extremely high, way higher than Damian Lillard. So if you want to be contrarian, just throw Damian Lillard in the captain spot and build your lineups the exact same way. Have Steph in your utility, Clay in your utility, and do some other things. That's going to be a contrarian approach as much as it can be on a showdown slate. But I think the same production out of them is fine. You've been getting, since KD has gone out, 20 plus shots out of Clay. That's not going to stop. And there's no way that they're going to limit Steph to some mediocre game below 40 points. And as long as you get Steph for 40 plus points, he's fine in a utility spot. Don't fall for Harkless chalk. I got a bad feeling, LOL. I'm playing Aminu, says Elephant. Yeah, I don't have Harkless. Look, I think Harkless is fine. I think he still sees the minutes that he's seeing. I just think that people are underestimating the minutes Aminu can see. Aminu can go out there and play 10 minutes because he doesn't match up well here. But they gave him 18 minutes of run in the first 30 minutes of that game. And then he didn't play the last 18 because of blowout, because of a little bit of foul trouble, mainly blowout. He came out for his normal rotation, and then that was it. So paying up, at least in my mind on this type of showdown slate, paying up for Zach Collins at an elevated price point where realistically his minutes came down that last game. They came down and he saw an extra 2.5 minutes in blowout. Paying up for other guys like Harkless, who are now a lot more expensive than Aminu, makes sense to me, but again, this is a showdown slate. I got to get a little bit different. The public's going to overreact to game 1. The way that you beat people in game 2 of a series, and obviously showdown is so tough, is to not overreact like the public does. A couple of ways people are going to overreact today are obviously Aminu sucks. Harkless is the greatest player of all time. And Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond need to be in all of your lineups, which very well might be the case, but maybe not in the captain spot. I think CJ McCollum, Damian Lillard will be significantly underappreciated today, especially Damian Lillard since he's priced up there right next to Steph. So again, don't think that all of a sudden Damian Lillard is a terrible basketball player. He took 12 shots in game 1. Yes, it is a tough matchup for him, and I really don't want much of him, but if you actually want to build a different lineup that is still optimal, that's the way you go. You don't throw in $1,000 shitty players. Every time I pick a full slate lineup, I have 1 to 3 guys who missed the cut. Josh Thiem. Yeah, 1 to 3. Wow. Yeah, I mean, that's what everybody does, right? Realistically, in most majors, 5% of the field picks 6 out of 6. Like, it seems easy. It's not easy, especially when the field is this tight with this many good golfers. Great golfers automatically are going to end up getting cut. Maybe not automatically, but just realistically, great golfers are going to get cut. I have a lot of I have a lot of Bubba Watson. The rest of all my lineups after day 1 are doing great. In a small field like this, they're all at even or -1 for the most part. And I have a lot of Bubba Watson, who's at +6, absolutely killed all my lineups. Like, it stinks because now I have really no reason to watch unless Bubba Watson tomorrow can somehow go out and shoot 4 under, which I do not see happening after today, especially since his bogey avoidance rate is not that great. Hey, Sal, do you like Draymond tonight? Yes, Chase Nichols, I do. I do not have him in the captain spot. I think it's fine to put Draymond in the captain spot, but I think Draymond is clearly a great play on this slate. Top 3-4 play on the slate. What's up, Sal? How's it going, Jeff? Do you think CJ will be a good captain spot tonight? Amos, I do not think that he is realistically grading out well, but I think in terms of contrarian being different, playing CJ or Damian Lillard in the captain spot is a good idea. I personally will be continuing to ride out Steph because I just think right now he's projecting for 10 points more than anybody else on the slate for me. But that's, again, a projection system that this is a 1-game sample size. CJ McCollum or Damian Lillard in the captain spot will be significantly underowned compared to your Steph Currys. So I think it's fine going there. Look, if you're telling me a player of the caliber of CJ McCollum and you want to put him into the captain spot, I'm not going to tell you it's a terrible option. If you're telling me you want to put Seth Curry, Aminu, Harkless into the captain spot, then I'm going to tell you you're just dreaming. You're trying to get too cute here. Sergio Garcia did terrible today. Chris a fool. He did, but a lot of guys did. Patrick Reed shot +4. Keith Mitchell shot +4. Bubba Watson shot +6. This is a hard course, and it's tough to make up strokes, which makes it even more impressive that Brooks went 7 under. But Sergio Garcia is shooting +4. The cut line is going to be +3, probably. So he has to just have a decent day tomorrow. If Sergio goes -2 tomorrow, you're fine. So, yeah, he had a terrible day, but a lot of people did. And that's just evident when the cut line is +2, +3. Are you staying away from Hood because of the injury risk? No. Not at all. Hood played fine last game. All right, gang. 3 minutes to MLB lock. If you have any more MLB questions, get them in, because then I'm going to bounce. I appreciate it. It is nice here. It's like 70 degrees. Padres lineup dropped 7 minutes ago. Okay, let's see what that's about. Padres dropped their lineups late. They've been doing that yesterday too, I think. Go back to the NBA. You think Damian Jones will get more playing time? No, I don't. No, I don't even have him ranked. I have him for 0 minutes. I don't. Did Damian Jones play last game? Is there a reason I should think Damian Jones plays today? Did he get the 3 minutes of blowout run in the last game? No, I don't even think he's an option. I know that Looney is probable with a knee. That's a good thing. He's probable with a knee. So I have no concern for him being limited or anything like that. So yeah, the pricing just for the showdown slate is just so interesting to me. It's just really interesting. Like a couple of guys that stand out in terms of pricing, especially based off of game one. You get just Jonas Jerebko at 2,200 might not seem like a lot, but that's just, I don't know why he's getting that much of a bump compared to the rest of the guys down here. I guess the main things would be Aminu being 4,400 and cheap, and Mo Harkless quickly getting bumped up to 6,000, which if he's going to play 30 minutes, he probably should be, but that's no lock. And Rodney Hood being 5,400, I feel like Rodney Hood should be the $6,000 player there. 5,400 should probably be Harkless. Zach Collins at 5,000, it baffles me. He played great in the last series, but $5,000 for Zach Collins right now, for a guy who's playing less minutes than Kevon Looney, might be a little bit more productive point per minute wise, but less minutes than Kevon Looney. It's just a good value getting Looney $1,000 cheaper than Zach Collins. Damian had 2 minutes. Yeah, he played blowout run. The last 2.5 minutes of the game, neither team had any starters in. So Damian Jones will not play in this game as long as it's within 15 or 20. Jones put up some good points in those 2 minutes. I can't tell if you're being sarcastic or not. He was playing against G League players for 2 minutes. I can't tell if you're being serious. Is it stupid to play the same lineup 4 times if you feel confident about your line, Michael Dixon? In the same contest? What's the contest? I'd say it's pretty dumb if you're talking about the big $20 tournament, yes. I'd say so. If you're talking about maxing out the quarter jukebox, I've maxed out the quarter jukebox, which is 20 lineups. It costs you a quarter each, so it's $5 to get 20 lineups in that thing. I kind of view it as a sort of like a head-to-head, or I view it as sort of like a 50-50. Clearly not, right? It's a top 20, 22% get paid. But I view the jukeboxes as a 50-50 that you can. Baltimore, home run, Rio Ruiz batting 5th. 4th of the year. That guy slumping, but hits some here and there. What was I saying? It was somewhere in the questions. Yeah, stupid to play the same lineup 4 times. Yeah, so the quarter jukebox, I view it as, look, if my lineup does good, it has a ceiling to win $600 or plus if I have 20 lineups in it. If it just hits the cash line, well, my 20 lineups just turned into $20 or whatever it might be, $1 each. So that's when I enter the same lineup and sort of run a train. But outside of that, and like I use the same lineup and everything, but I'm not going to put 4 lineups into the $20. There's just no upside there. That's you telling me that you just want to min cash your 4 lineups, where in a showdown slate, really in general, if all you're doing playing GPPs is hoping to min cash, then go play head-to-heads. Go play 50-50s. There's no reason to be playing GPPs if you're not trying to win first place. That should be your only goal. If your goal is, okay, well, maybe I'll min cash, that'll be good. No, take your money and go play cash because it's much easier to pretty much min cash right there. Do you think Portland will run small ball? And if so, what players do you think will get the most run? If they run small ball, you're going to get more minutes out of Hood. But, I mean, he's playing 26, 28 minutes a game right now, right closer to 26. So you're going to get, an extra 4 minutes out of Hood? They are already set up to be more of a small ball team. The only way is you get Cantor off the court, and they just need offense. So I don't know how much Cantor you get off the court in this series. Lillard, McCollum should play around 40 minutes in this game. Mo Harkless, again, if you want to say small ball, 30 minutes in this game. Seth Curry, I don't think sees any increased run because if you're playing small ball, you want offense out there. That would be Rodney Hood. Seth Curry is a terrible basketball player. He can play some defense. He is a terrible basketball player, at least for fantasy and probably real life. So small ball, I don't know how much smaller they can go. Realistically, how much smaller can they go? I guess they take Cantor off the court and they keep Rodney Hood on the court with Mo Harkless and then Aminu maybe. Like at the 5, I guess that's small ball. So if you're thinking that they play small ball, you think that Rodney Hood gets more minutes, which means you should play more Rodney Hood. I don't know, though. I think it stays pretty similar. It didn't work at all in game 1. I just don't see how they take Cantor off the court that much longer because he is a good offensive player there. And I mean, if you're taking him off, you're going to tell me he's going to play Zach Collins instead. That's not small ball. So yeah, they should try to. I think an adjustment is needed. So it'll be interesting to see. If that's the case, then yeah, you should like your Rodney Hood shares much more. If you had to pick between playing CJ McCollum or Dame, who would you pick? Almost depends. What are we doing there? Are we putting them in the captain spot, one of them, both, or am I choosing one for the captain, one for utility? How much money is left over? If you're playing Damian Lillard and you can leave $1,000 or $800, $700 left over, then play Damian Lillard. If you're leaving no money left over, then play CJ McCollum. GPP. Aminu center. Yeah, that's what I thought you meant. Someone needs to step up to Curry and get through the screens. Yeah, I figured you meant Aminu center, and then I guess you're going to say the 4 is going to be Harkless, the 3 is going to be a Rodney Hood, some sort of variation of that. I think that's fine. Or I think that they should try it. They lost by 22 or whatever the first game. Someone needs to step up to Curry and get through the screens. I don't think anybody can. I'll be honest with you. Ant88 or Ant888. You're going to live and die with if Steph Curry can hit an off-the-screen deep 3. And a lot of times you're going to die. And that's why the Warriors are as good as they goddamn are. They're playing a different type of ball because they don't have Kevin Durant, the ball that they played 3 years ago, which are those exact screens. And Klay Thompson is going to shoot a ball with 2 guys' hands in his face like he did this last game. And Klay's just going to, and Steph's going to just shoot off the ball every single time. That's what you're going to get. I don't think, when you say somebody needs to, yeah, they definitely do. I don't think anybody's going to. Not on this team. And really not anywhere, in my opinion. It's hard to get around the screen in general. And when the second you get screened, the guy's shooting a 3, I don't know how you get around that. Baseball is locked. Bang. All right, gang. I'm going to go bounce. I'm going to keep up with this baseball stuff. Yeah, a good coach will adjust. Cantor needs to get off the floor. 10 points, not much offense. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, if you want to go small ball, that's fair. I think he is still a good offensive player out there, albeit maybe his shoulder is still one piece. Do you like Seth Curry tonight? No, I do not. Favorite captain pick tonight? Jeff, favorite captain pick? I still like Steph. It's not sexy. I still like Steph. If you're telling me that you want to be more contrarian without leaving money on the table, go to Damian Lillard or CJ McCollum. They're going to be significantly underowned. Aminu over Collins, yes, for me. Iguodala tonight. What's going on, Oscar? What's going on, Thomas? Jared also. Iguodala tonight, I don't have any. I think it's fine. I think he sees more than 30 minutes. He probably sees, I have him at 34 or 35. Let's see. I think it was 35. I have him at 34. Okay. So Iguodala tonight, I think it's fine. I'm not getting there. I like the big 3, the modified big 3 from a couple of years ago in Klay, Draymond, and Steph in the order of Steph, Draymond, and Klay, which is the exact order of the pricing, so it's nothing crazy there. Value player tonight. I don't like any super cheapies. I mean, $4,000 Looney is the lowest that I'm interested in. $4,400 for me. Aminu would be the value play tonight. And now more and more people are listening to me say that Al-Farouq Aminu is one of my better or favorite plays of the night. Look, I have no conviction, no dire conviction around Al-Farouq Aminu, and maybe the public is thinking the same as me, but I really doubt it. He's a guy who's going to start again tonight, and he should see 22 to 24 minutes tonight. And if they go small ball, like some people are saying, that should benefit him more and hurt Cantor and benefit Rodney Hood more. So I like Al-Farouq Aminu at $4,400, $1,600 cheaper than Mo Harkless, which Harkless, it seems like, is going to get significantly more minutes, at least 6, probably 8. But at the same time, we've seen, at least in the first series, those guys were pretty neck and neck. The last series, Aminu didn't get as much run because he couldn't. Playing Denver with Al-Farouq Aminu is a terrible idea. And they started to realize that a little bit too late, but it still worked. Value player on FanDuel. Oh, you're talking about a punt on FanDuel? Is that still a thing? Punt on FanDuel, I guess I would go Quinn Cook if you're telling me that you can just get a punt in there like that. Quinn Cook. I have Curry at captain, but hate having players like Looney and Turner. Feel I never get there with those guys. Yeah, Turner I don't want any of. Looney I think is fine. I like Looney. Guys, come on. Why with the silly questions? What's the silly question? What's going on, Castillo? Yeah, and 888. I like Looney over Turner. Turner doesn't do much for me. Turner literally had that one game. That one game that he scored like 14 points. He has like 4 other points in the entire postseason. Dame is going to step up clearly, but so isn't CJ, or so is. Yeah, Dame has to. I mean, if you're telling me who's going to do better, or who is going to be the guy who bounces back the most in this game, it's got to be Dame. He scored 30 fantasy points the last game. He took 12 shots. That being said, it depends what your lineup construction looks like. If you can leave a decent amount of money on the table and you're playing Dame in the captain or Dame in utility, then yeah, I'm fine going with Dame. Game 1, the obvious build for a lot of people is probably Steph, Dame, Draymond, Clay, some order like that. But having Dame and Steph in there, probably a lot of people wanted, and I would have advocated for that. The fact that it didn't go well, people are going to overreact extremely to that. And they're going to think that Damian Lillard is going to score 30 fantasy points every time out. No, Damian Lillard realistically will score closer to 50 tonight than he will 40. So that's something to be said, and that's something that usually will have to be in your utility spots unless things get wacky once again. So keep that in mind. What's going on, Joel David? What's up, Sal? I like the amino call. Thank you. I mean, I have no conviction around it. It is just sort of like a mini leverage thing that gives me differentiation from all the people playing Mo Harkless. McCollum is honestly too cheap. I agree. I would go CJ. Would punt Collins. Is that FanDuel? I don't know what the prices are like on FanDuel. On Draftkings, I don't think you're punting with $5,000. All right, that's it, gang. 40 minutes are in the books. I'm going to bounce. I got to do some things. Dame and CJ don't go off together. Is either one or the other. Oscar, that is not completely true, although most of the time that is true. We've seen Dame and CJ both play extremely well multiple times in this postseason. Also run Looney, so double bench. All right, peace out.